Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final conversation of the Heart to Heart Connection Summit. I'm so glad that you have been able to join us for any and all of our conversations over the last 3 days. If this happens to be your first one, then welcome today, and I hope you can go back and look at the rest of them. But thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Susan Peters, and I am joined today by Astara Jane Ashley, who happens to be my publisher of Flower of Life Press for my book. And I'm so excited about it.
Congrats on your launch. It's so great.
Yes, it's been an exciting day and a whole big process of working through and journeying through, but I have been so grateful to have Astara by my side this whole time. She has made this a book writing journey and not just writing a book to sell. So I have been so appreciative, Astara, of all that you have done for me to make this an experience. And now we can share it with others.
Yeah. It's been such a beautiful ride for me too, Sue, to be with you as you birthed this such poignant story of loss and new beginnings in your life. And there's just quickly one thing. I'm wearing a ring that I bought for myself that has the word love on it, which was inspired by your book
Ah,
and by the story of how you bought yourself a ring
ah, that's so
when you
sweet.
married your own heart. So yeah, it's my pleasure to be a part of this and to witness your visibility, just like, go through the roof with all of this. It's so wonderful. Thank you for your work in the world.
Oh, thank you for inspiring me all along the way because my book it was just my story when it started out, but it really evolved into a community story and one that I'm so excited to share and that everybody's excited to read. So I will be so excited to put it into the world. The Miracle of Marrying My Heart, a journey of discovering new dreams after loss, because loss is hard. And as you know, Astara, I had lost my husband, John, and was now writing this book, but Astara, not too long after I started the writing journey, had lost her dad.
Yeah.
And that I think helped both of us through the journey of it all, kind of walking together in different ways, different paths. But
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how how was your heart when I do remember you saying that when your dad died that your heart was open bigger than you had ever felt it opening before. And I would like you to share maybe some of that because I it really touched me the way you said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. And oh, I can feel the tears already,
Oh.
and this is the beauty of grief
Hmm.
and of allowing ourselves to feel it, is that it just bubbles up and the heart just opens and there we are, you know. And grief is such a beautiful experience because to me it feels like it's my body releasing, whatever needs to be released in the form of tears, in the form of whatever it is I'm feeling in my body, and how that shows me what I'm experiencing in my life without my mind cluttering everything up. It
Yeah.
just stays very much in my heart and in my body. And when my dad died, and it helps me feel, which is something that has been very hard throughout my life. I've had to really learn how to feel and not be just from the neck up. So grief is such a beautiful portal into this knowing ourselves, knowing what life and death are all about, deepening into what's important, loving ourselves through it, letting go. I mean, there's just so many aspects of grief that are so healing and heal all other parts of our life too, not just the immediate loss, but so many other pieces. And so when my dad died, I felt my heart open and the tears come and the sadness and but also the liberation. And I felt it all at the same time because I'd been afraid my whole life of losing my dad and knowing it was imminent. And it was just sort of this burden in my awareness that like, it's coming, it's coming. And he'd been sick for a few years. So there had been many times where he had been on death's door and I was like, it's happening, but then it didn't. So when it finally did happen, I felt my heart just open, and it didn't close. In a lot of situations where we feel intimacy or connection, it just sort of, then we move on with life and life just goes on. And then we're sort of back on our, on this like linear path of doing. But what happened with my dad and grief is that my heart just stayed open for weeks. I could feel myself just in this liminal space of, it's not closing. I was just very surprised by that, and that I didn't feel shut down or disconnected. I felt very connected to myself, to my body, to my life, and to other people while I was in that liminal space of grief. And so it surprised me that it didn't shut down quickly. And ultimately, over time, it's been 9 months now, I did feel myself kind of like recalibrating back to, normalcy, which I'm sure you've experienced that too, now that it's been 2 3 years, 2 years, 3 years since Mom
Yeah.
passed. So that the way grief changes over time,
Yeah.
and the way our body continues to feel and process all of the beautiful suffering that life brings us.
Yeah. I love how you said that, how it stays open. And I really want to connect into that because so many people I think are scared of an open heart, and I'm just wondering. I know that I could not have found my dreams. I never would have married my heart if I wouldn't have had my heart broken open so far. And because of that, the beauty of it, like you said, the opening of it actually releases something and opens us to like a deeper part of ourselves that we really didn't know was there. Is that kind of how you experienced it too, where you were able to find a new part of yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I felt I'd been so scared of it. I'd had this notion, of loss and death, because I really hadn't had a big death in my life yet. And I'm 54. And so it's like, I'm so lucky. I haven't had any tragedy or had any major loss. So the fear was sort of running the show prior to actually experiencing it. And then the fear went away. And then it just became this beautiful sacred space of honoring life, honoring death, honoring the cycles, honoring our time here, honoring our relationships. And my heart, I have had to work hard for the past 15 years to have an open heart and to even feel myself like from the neck down, right? And so I know what a gift that is, to feel heart-based and to be able to make choices from my heart and to be able to shift out of my crazy making mind into what's true. But it was a whole new layer, a whole new level of depth of connection to the earth,
Mm,
to spirit, to the
mhm.
divine, to my dad's spirit, to the divinity of him. And I can feel him. I can feel his presence. I can feel the magic of his life energy. I can feel my relationship with him is ongoing. It has
Mhm.
not ended.
Yeah.
And that's really profound to feel suddenly now, oh, my dad is my ancestor,
Hmm.
and I'm going to be an ancestor too. And I just have begun to really connect with my ancestry on
Yeah.
many levels, like, and also just my relationship with the earth as my home, as my mother, as the one who holds me no
Mhm.
matter what.
Yeah.
So it's extremely profound to have felt this deeper connection with life and ancestry and all of it, just this wave of us as beings, that we just keep going, keep flowing forward, and we die and come back. And I just feel this like recirculation of our DNA through our lineage, forward and backwards. And that the earth is like the common denominator here
Yeah.
of all of this.
Yeah. Oh, that's said so beautifully. It, it's it's so connecting. It's like you, in some ways, we feel death is disconnecting, but the way you just explained it, it's that makes it so connecting that it's what's real. It's, we think that this life is just real as it is, and then it kind of disappears when people die, but it actually gets more real. That's what I have found.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes. And the soul, like there's, I work with archetypal energies and divine feminine energies, and one of them is the Queen of Death. And to work with her, with this energy of death and the Queen of Death, it used to feel like the Grim Reaper, a horror movie, scary, violent. But my whole relationship with death now is that she is a mother figure. She feels like falling into the arms of like the deepest, most luscious black velvet,
mm, beautiful.
and that it's actually comforting and beautiful and sacred. And I actually felt joy when my dad died,
Yeah, it's isn't
at the same time.
Yeah, I can totally relate with you in a lot of ways, because I know it's partly what I wrote in my book was when I felt like when John was sick, was like the computer icon was stuck, frozen, spinning and spinning and spinning, and I couldn't get out of it. John couldn't get out of it. We were stuck, and there was
Yeah.
nothing either of us could do about it. But when he died, there was this release and this closure and this opening all at once that changed everything for me. It was already a transformation in that moment, and I knew John was at peace. I knew John was in a better place, and I already felt this presence like immediately in a new way. Yes, I felt his loss deeply, and I cried so much, and it shattered my heart in a lot of ways. But at the same time, it also opened me to a whole new way of thinking, looking at things, being, and realizing that John was so much more alive, and how that can help me to be more alive also, and I wouldn't have thought about that before, because I mean there were moments that I thought, you know what, I just have to survive until I do die, but at the same time there were lots of other moments that kept popping up, lots of synchronicities that kept saying, no, you're still here, enjoy this life, it's a beautiful place to be, and there's so much more that you can do and experience and enjoy,
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing that we need to enter into grief to embrace it, because there's so much that awaits us.
Absolutely. And it's a part of our awakening, and I realize, well, all roads lead to death. That's just how it is. We're all gonna die. And we're just in this denial, I think,
Yeah,
and avoidance. But the less I find myself avoiding it, the more I'm really present in the moment to enjoy the beauty and abundance of being on this planet right now and this time,
yeah,
and of life itself, and of heart connections and soul to soul
yes,
connections. And so it really is it's like a mystery school in and of itself, grief.
it is.
Yeah.
And I have found that it has expanded my heart rather than shrunk my heart, and in beautiful ways. It's it's more of a blossoming. You go through the death cycle, and you die like a seed, but then you kind of reblossom, and it comes out way more beautiful than you can imagine it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, I think, what I learned from you and your work and the book that you wrote is like this resilience that I never could have imagined that I could ever cope with loss. Like if I lost a family member or one of my daughters or a husband or anybody, I just felt like how will I ever cope? But the thing is, we're resilient, and that's where we shift our focus, not negating the pain or the loss or the sadness or the anger or whatever those feelings are. They're all worthy, but also to just like, okay, I'm going to focus my energy over here, which is new. It's a new perspective.
Yeah.
It's like it is a rebirth. And that's interestingly when we talk about the great mother sort of holding the birth canal, like
Mhm.
catching the baby, like you're
Yeah.
born, here you are. And then the Queen of Death, they're actually on both sides of that birth canal, because the Queen of Death sort of ushers us into the death phase, but then we're in the birth canal at the same time and rebirthed out and received by the Great Mother.
Wow.
So Queen of Death and Great Mother are like two sides of the same coin. It's all loving, mothering, nurturing energy of life, of creator creation, right?
Mhm.
And it's all part of the same flow.
Yeah.
And we're received on both sides.
Yeah.
So
It's
there's like nothing to really be afraid of, you
yeah.
know?
It's just a matter of surrender, letting go, and receiving something new. It just it's
Yeah.
a cycle that keeps going like that, and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And it reminds me of writing too, because like through our writing, so much creativity can flow, so much emotion can flow and release and put it on the paper. I mean, I know through writing my book, and you helped me guide me through this. I mean, right away you were like, if you go through any emotions while you're writing your book, please let me know, get in touch with me so that you don't feel like, you have to do this alone, like you're supported. And I appreciated that because, it is an emotional journey writing a book, especially about somebody who died.
Yes. Oh my
And
gosh. It's so vulnerable. It's so beautiful the way you share in detail this whole experience and the shock of it and the healing and the opening to the new dreams and finding a new part of yourself and finding purpose and being able to make an impact. And I mean, it's incredible what a gift that is, that John's passing has created.
yeah, yeah, I never would have stepped into this dream, and
Yeah,
I kind of thought I was living out my dreams, and there was not much left except for John and me to retire and have our life together.
yeah.
But it didn't work that way. But yet I was led to all these new dreams, and writing was one of them. And writing was a way I could express my grief and go
Mm,
through the roller coaster of the emotions, but yet
yeah,
but yet feel it in a new way, like you said, and it's so healing. It really healed me to journey through it in that way, because the
mhm,
first journey was hard.
yeah,
And this journey was still challenging, but this journey was, like you said, it was more like a birth journey, because I was birthing a book out of something, out of a death, and how ironic, like you said, the two sides of the coin,
mhm,
and then so much life came out of that
yeah,
process. And now waiting for this birth of this book to be in my hands. How cool is that? Because I feel like John's like saying, I know it was hard. I know everything has been such a challenge, but at least I gave you a good story, and now you can share it with people, and help other people to journey through that also, and realize
yes,
that there's life, that there is new birth, and that there is new possibility, that you can actually have new dreams and be excited and happy about it.
yes,
How
yeah.
cool
And
is
that we have the capacity to hold all of this. Like we have the capacity to cope from loss. We have the capacity to keep to open our hearts. We have the capacity to let go and surrender and receive and be with what is without resistance. And and that, yeah, I mean, that journey of writing is just like facing your soul on the page for so many of us for the first time. Like, what is this? Who is this? What is this part of me? Or this creative energy, this life force, Shakti, sacral chakra, life, flowing through us on through our pens onto the page.
Yeah.
It's so vulnerable and it's so real. Um, so yeah, it's been really an experience working on this with you. And I also feel like I know John. And so I have a relationship with him
Wow.
from working on your book. And so will your readers.
Mm. Oh, that touches me so much. Oh, so beautiful. And know what? That's a whole nother part of this journey, is the connection. Um,
Mm,
I never would have realized that writing is going to connect me to so many people. I mean, okay, writing helped me release what I needed to release and discover what I needed to discover. But because and I think it's because I've done it with you through the way you do it, and you create it into a journey that we get to meet with other authors and share all of our stories, whatever they are. They're not all about grief, but
Yeah.
we get to know each other, and in life we're still going through all kind of ups and downs and all arounds, and we all get to share that together, and when we're writing it together, I don't know, it was such a special bond to meet with other authors on their journeys too, because we're all in the middle of journeying of
Yeah.
in all
Yeah.
different kinds of ways. And I just thought it was such a beautiful way how you made it such a collaboration and a connection. Even though we're writing separately, we were still writing together. And
Mhm.
I love how you do that.
That, yeah, it's very powerful to write in sisterhood or in a community with other writers. And we even have these Friday afternoon writing power hours where I just open up the call and hold the space, and people come and we go silent and turn off our videos and our mics and just write. But the fact that we're all in that portal together is comforting. It's sacred, and it's supportive, and we just know we're not alone. So I think that's part of the beauty of writing in community like this, is that we're not alone. Even though we're on separate journeys, we're still not alone. We're actually just all drops in the same ocean,
Yeah.
navigating life and death and rebirth. And to have that support, it's magic what will happen in that kind of an environment. Like, people have had big breakthroughs from writer's block just by coming to one of those calls.
Yeah, it made a big difference for me. Like, you wouldn't think just sitting for an hour quiet would make a difference, but it's like you can actually feel the sacredness of the moment, and it's inspiring because you just know you're connected to some other souls who are creating at the same time as you are, and it's super powerful.
Yeah.
You don't know it till you experience it, but it made a big difference in my writing. That was when, like, if I sat down and started writing, then I could go on for 2 or 3 hours, and it was really helpful to get me going, and moving.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we all face similar blocks,
Mhm.
to our creative flow, and it's all fear. And then most of it is subconscious. But we just find ourselves avoiding it, or feeling confused, or, watching Netflix or something else. And we just have to face that fear and realize that it's an illusion, and that we can transmute that energy. And by showing up to a call like that, we're just instantly transmuting any blocks, because there's no room for that. And we're looking at it, and we're looking, saying, huh, and without judgment. I think that's important too,
Yeah.
how you've been able to write this beautiful story and be so vulnerable and open about it with us, and get through those fears of, like, being seen, being too vulnerable. Sometimes people can get a little bit of a vulnerability hangover, like, oh, I'm nervous, like people won't like it, or like me, or will judge me. So, like, we just have to keep practicing that space of non-judgment, no matter what, even if we are blocked, even if we have no idea what's happening or what we're writing.
Yeah. So beautiful. Yeah, I can't imagine doing it any other way. I'm just so appreciative that you have opened up the space in so many beautiful ways to do that. And um, I know people just listening to this right now, just to know that they have the ability to write, if they're going through any kind of loss or grief, that
Yeah.
writing is a way to help, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's so healing. And, even starting with a journal and giving yourself time in the morning, like, Julia Cameron calls that the morning pages
Mhm.
from the artist's way. And to be able to write 3 pages longhand in the morning before getting on your phone, before checking email, it's a very energetically clearing, because we just kind of dump it all out, get rid of it, whatever's left over from the day before, or from dream time, or, whatever's happening, we can just, like, release it and get empty. And when we get empty, that's when the creative muse will show up.
Yeah. 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 I'm actually doing the artist way with Adrienne, who's another speaker on the summit. She
Oh,
has a whole,
yay.
like she's doing a program with it now with us. And so it is neat. And that's with a group too, which is kind of nice because then we support each other because it's really
Yeah.
hard to stay focused by yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the same thing, get everything onto paper that you don't need or want, and then it clears the way for new things, and so many insights can pop in,
Mhm.
and allow you just even to see things from a new perspective, I think, because I think grief can kind of just make us look like this, lost, we're so caught up in it, maybe just even looking down, not even out,
Yeah.
and to open ourselves to what else could be out there, what's possible.
So I'm curious too, with when you went through this journey and have now written your story, what has changed in terms of your relationship to God?
It's been a journey. I mean, I think I was so focused more like this when I started, but now that John's out here and he's in a bigger space, that's that holds all of everything, all of life is all around us, from the beginning of time. So all of a sudden that bigger space opened to me, realizing that, oh my gosh, none of us are alone. We're all so well supported by the divine, and by the way God is so much bigger, I think, than we make him out to be. God is such a part of everything, and everything that ever was, that ever is, and that ever will be, right? And so it made me realize that we are all just so much more connected than I ever could have possibly imagined.
Mhm.
And as such, we are all a part of that oneness, and we are all a part of that love, and we are all a part of all of the things that go with that, the creativity, the beauty, the joy, the life is all in one. We're all part of it, and it has made a huge difference in my heart. I think that it just it has expanded my heart in all new ways, because now I see with my heart. I'm not just looking with my eyes and with my mind. I see with my heart, and I don't know that I would have gotten there if my heart wasn't broken. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity now, that because my heart was broken, now I can see things in such more beautiful ways, and God now becomes real to me, instead
Mhm.
of somebody who's out there trying to, torture me, or make my life harder, or judge me. I don't see that anymore. We we are harsh on ourselves sometimes, but God never is like that. And
Yeah.
all through what I went through with John, I was reinforced over and over and over, through the moon, through nature, through sunsets, and it's all in my book.
Mhm.
And through geese. There's so many moments that I was told, you're not alone. You are well cared for and loved and looked after, and that made all the difference to me, because I felt it. It wasn't just somebody telling me what to believe. It wasn't me just believing something that I thought was there. It was me actually feeling it.
Wow. And you're paving the way for so many of us who might be single or might lose a partner ultimately. And then, I mean, women seem to live longer than men in general, right? So there's a lot of women living alone out there, and there's going to be more of us
Yep.
in the next 2 decades. I think it's something like 65% of our population will be, or a major part of our population will be 65 or older. And so to just show, the power of that oneness consciousness of never feeling alone, even though technically we might be alone, and your life is so different now. You don't have your partner there. Like when my dad died, they were married 59 years.
Mm.
My mom's 81, but she's learning to live alone. She's learning how to be alone and how to be okay with that,
Yeah.
and finding new, you know, strengths. She went and got her oil changed for the first time, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just feel safe, like moving forward into my future, knowing that I'm not alone
Mhm.
and that many of us face loss and that it's okay. We're all heading there, as I said, but along the way, we just be with it and feel the beauty and power of what it can bring for us as in our solitude in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing I really have found. I mean, in choosing to marry my heart, and committing to myself and trusting myself, I realized that that's how we all need to live. We need to love our own selves first. Like self-love, we always do it backwards. We love everybody else and then we don't have anything left for ourselves. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found the opposite to be true now that I dedicated myself to loving myself 100% and stepping into that all of a sudden I had all this extra love to share, and it was real love. It wasn't just like
Mhm.
haphazard love,
Yeah.
like I wish I would have had that with John when he was still alive. We kind of shared half our hearts.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing the fullness that loving yourself, what that does and
Yeah.
how that helps us to really be authentic and who we really are meant to be.
Yeah. That's such a great reminder because we don't really know until we finally do love ourselves that, like, oh, this has been missing.
Yeah.
And so I know that feeling of regret, because I'm divorced. And when I got divorced, I wish I would have known how to love myself back then during my first marriage. It would have changed some things. Maybe not, but living with that regret, but not letting it become a judgment or like a thorn in my side or a way of keeping me from fully being expressed or present.
Mhm.
So to just keep transmuting those things like, yep, well, I did the best I could with what I had at that time in my life. And this is what growth is. Like, we're just never the same. All we have is change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just keep changing and learning and better and, getting better. I feel this sort of like desire to do more good
Yeah.
and be a channel for good. And I know that's exactly what you're doing. And it's this suddenly there's this space now where you're overflowing, where you can give from that space of overflowing. And that's what life, that's the beauty of it. Cause then it's a win-win. It's
Yeah.
abundance for all of us. There's enough love for everybody. There's enough love to go around it, but we can only start here
Yeah.
and then
And
let it vibrate.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think the more that I've entered into my self-loving, I'm connecting to the vibrations and love of all the other people who are loving, and all of a sudden, all of our love comes out, not our sadness, not our anger, not our hate.
Yeah.
It's like the love brings out the love in each of us, and all of a sudden it magnifies and grows, and then we're connected to more and more people. I mean, I've met the most beautiful people on this journey, and it just grows day by day. And there's everyone has so much to offer, so much to give, so much love, and I would have missed out on all of this. I would have sat in my own little world and missed out. And now I'm seeing the effects of sharing ourselves from our true selves.
Yeah. Yeah. From that space. That's like quantum physics, what you've discovered and what you're the way you're showing up in the world and coming from that space really consciously and creating the ritual around marrying your heart and your devotion to loving yourself and so that you can overflow and give back and be in that exchange. I mean, that is not that's a huge teaching about our soul, our soul's evolution, our whole purpose for being here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't teach that in school.
Nope. Nope.
Nobody teaches it. I
Nope.
mean, now we do because we can see what it is and be like, hey, this is available to all of us. But if we stay stuck in that vibration of regret and anger, then it's a downward spiral because the body manifests whatever it is that's happening there and like leading to illness and I mean more tragedy,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
which is not what we want, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm actually been finding out on this whole journey, like, all the speakers on this summit, have helped me to see that, have helped me to journey in all these new ways, body, mind, and spirit. Like, because we can't do one without the other.
Yeah.
We need to be balanced in all the areas. And that's exactly what all of these people have taught me. All of you guys have brought so much. It's like going to school in a whole new way, in the best way possible. It's like I love going to school and
Yeah.
now, because
Yeah.
I'm learning all these most amazing things about myself and about other people and about life.
Hmm.
And it's the most incredible journey, and you don't want the adventure to end. You want to see what's going to happen next. There's still so many unknowns, but it's like this year to me is a leap year, and my word is leap for the year, because let's see what's next. It's scary, yes. It's
Yeah.
unknown, yes, but all the things that if I wouldn't have done because they were scary or unknown, I would have missed out on so many things and so many people and so much love, and I would not have expanded at all to who I am today, and I would not be doing this summit. I would never
Yeah.
know you, and it's like I'm
Yeah, I
so.
know. I mean, it really is a miracle, which is why I'm so glad that's part of your title, because it really is a miracle that out of a planet of 8 billion people, here we are,
I
right? And we've
know,
been on this journey together, and
I
you've
know.
changed my life and I've changed yours, and we can be in that relationship.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's just, I'm so grateful
Yeah. Yeah, and
for,
I feel
yeah,
like John's part of it. Like he's leading me to people, and your dad, like they're
yeah,
part of our journey too. It's not like we're just doing it on our own. They're supporting us, and it makes it even more of a special journey, because it's not just us alone. It's us with them in a new way. It's a whole new life. It's
yeah.
a new way of living.
And it's like this time on our planet when humanity or the earth is, in turmoil, and we're
Yeah.
at war and people are dying, and weird pandemics and all of these things, we're facing this time of great loss and sadness, like for our species.
Yeah.
So to be able to consciously show up as a light worker, which is what you are, you know, and to say, I'm going to give light, I'm going to focus on the light, and I'm going to share light and love, and I'm going to illuminate these things for other people. And I mean, that's what light workers are. And that's a really, I used to feel like it was a new agey thing, and maybe it is, but it's really a beautiful path. It's a path of love, like devotion to love, and
Yeah.
to being that and sharing that and embodying that. So yeah, I'm just so excited to see what's next also.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
and for me.
I know, I know. It's so neat to be able to travel together. Oh, I don't want our time to end. This has been such a wonderful conversation, Astara. Are there any last things you want to say? And is there something special that you want to offer to our listeners?
Oh, thank you. So, I guess one of the things that's helping me right now that I could offer as an idea for somebody else to embrace is to, if you have the ability to go outside and put your feet in the grass or in the dirt,
Mhm.
and or even on the pavement, but to feel ourselves connected and to feel gravity, because we really aren't alone. The earth is our mother, and when we die, we will go back,
Mhm.
you know, ashes to ashes. And so to feel that gravity and to feel her holding us, and that we're never lost, even if no matter how hard it can become, just feel gravity and remember you are held, you are loved, you are a divine child.
Mhm.
Um, so that tip for letting nature comfort and soothe and hold us through these times of grief and of pain. And then I have a gift that I can offer everybody, which is a guidebook, and it's called Write Your Way to Inner Bliss. And it's just a simple way of cultivating a devotional writing practice so that we can continue to amplify the journey, the path, what we want and what we're here to give, and how we can serve and also cultivating more inner bliss, that ripples out to other people.
Yep.
And so that's another way of sharing our light, is by cultivating the positivity and the bliss and those aspects of what life brings us to.
That's like another way of marrying your heart, riding to inner bliss. It's the same connection, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all heart work. Yep.
Yep. Yep. And it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks, Sue.
Oh, well, Astara, it's been so beautiful journeying with you. I cannot wait to hold that book in my hands. I'm so excited to
Yes.
see it. Astara is
Yes.
creating beautiful things. I have had some sneak peeks, so I have not seen the fullness of it yet. So I am so excited, and I cannot wait. And we will
It's
be.
I'm just so witnessing you in what you've done and created and how you've expanded during this time, and thank you for inspiring me.
Oh, well, thank you for being part of my own inspiration too, because it is that much more expanded because of your presence in my life and all that you have connected me with and all the people that you have connected me with. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Love you,
I love
sister.
you. Yes. All right. And thank you all for being part of this special summit. And I wish you all the best as you journey to discovering new dreams after your losses, and know that it is possible. Know that you are loved, know that you are supported, and know that you can reach out to me at any time, and you can connect with Astara, which I forgot to give you a chance to share your website, but it will be on the page. So thank you for joining with us today on all these days, and be ready for the book. There's a lot more coming. So keep connected, and love you all.